Hello! How is it going, everyone? Thank you for being here tonight. Welcome to another ScrimCast. I am your host, Bobby Socks. I do PvP things average. I appreciate y'all being here. So our guests tonight are Pattycakes and Apathettic. If you don't know who these two gentlemen are, they are absolutely insane content creators, insane gamers. Like, I'm really looking forward to tonight. If you are new here and you have not attended a Scrim school before, what it is we talk to two guests per week, kind of learn how they function, what they do, what they enjoy, weapon types, things like that. And then the second half of the podcast, we jump into practical scrims and we teach. So that means chat, you guys can hop in, you can ask these guests questions, you can learn from two legends. Let us undeafen, and we'll get some intros in.
It's expansion.
Gentlemen,
I love it.
Gentlemen, how's it going?
What's up?
What is up, dude?
Welcome for another Scrim School. I appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's get it popping. Let's do some intros. Who are you? What do you do? What do you do in game and out? It's more than obviously gaming for your personality type. So, what do you enjoy?
Patty, you go first.
All right. Okay, so I'm Patty, also known as Patrick, is my normal first name. I have been doing YouTube now for, I don't know, a year and a half to 2 years, and streaming a little longer than that, like 2.5 years almost. And I mostly cover Destiny, of course. I'd like to mostly talk about PvP improvement. That's kind of my wheelhouse. I really have played a lot of different competitive games over the years, and so I kind of try to bring that knowledge to Destiny. But I like the PvE side of the game and, you know, RPGs and MMOs and stuff as well. So I enjoy that quite a bit. Outside of gaming, I am really busy making YouTube videos most of the time. But when I'm not doing that, I play guitar very occasionally. And we also just got a new little puppy who is 12 weeks old today. And so she's a lot of work. So that's my life outside of Destiny right now.
Catch that puppy on the Instagram.
Yeah,
Right.
she's
On the
cutie.
grams.
Also a terrorist, I think. She's
One
piece at a time. Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
That's awesome, actually. What kind of puppy?
She's a beagle.
Ooh, okay. Smart dogs. Very smart dogs.
Yeah, probably too smart, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Apple, what you got?
Yeah, so I am Apathetic, also commonly referred to as Appa by people I play with. I make Destiny 2 content on the tubes, occasionally streaming. Similar to Patty, I focus a lot on YouTube, on PvP and making recommendations and builds. Sometimes just general topics in terms of talking about the sandbox and things like that. All basically around PvP with the occasional PvE, but PvP is what really, I would say, strokes my fancy when it comes to Destiny, especially coming from a Halo background.
Okay.
Going into personal things I like to do outside of gaming. Obviously, I spend a lot of time like Patty making YouTube videos as well, but also I really enjoy fitness and working out. It's a big passion of mine. So I've always loved talking about all things fitness and hearing people's different routines or pre-workouts. All that kind of stuff is really exciting to me. I also have a job where I work in kind of like IT for about 40 hours a week as well. So pretty packed schedule. I just love technology as a whole as well. So it kind of fits in as well with my interests. Like I literally have a new processor sitting on my desk and I'm excited to put in my computer. I'm always love talking about technology and the latest graphics cards, all that good stuff. So
interesting. So I feel like I'm staring in a mirror right now. If you told me you had kids, we would be twinsies.
There you go.
For you two, just in case you don't know who I am Bobby Socks. I do PvP stuff. I do obviously a Scrim school, a lot of free help, things like that, and comp. Outside of the gaming, I work in tech for a tech and gaming company, which I cannot name.
Same.
I'm in tech and gaming. I'm a data center operations manager. So, been doing that for about 10 years. I work out a lot, and it's funny you said working out because I did legs yesterday, and I am in pain.
Nice. It's only going to be even worse tomorrow. So.
Oh yeah, it's bad. We did heavyweight squats and then a bunch of body weight like tire flips and stuff. So I'm feeling it. for sure.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Right on. I appreciate you guys' intros. It's really good to get to know you guys before we jump into the nitty gritty of it. So thank you for answering those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's start it off. What brought you to Destiny?
I don't mind starting. For Destiny, so when Destiny came out, I had kind of taken a little hiatus from gaming. So I had played an insane amount of Halo up to that point. All Halo 1, tons and maybe disgusting amounts of Halo 2, tons of Halo 3. I really loved the competitive aspect of those games. Followed all the MLG stuff, really loved all that. I was super into it. And then around Halo 4, Halo 5-ish, I kind of like dabbled a little bit, but didn't really play that much. And then I saw Bungie was coming out with this new game, Destiny. I was like, oh, it's kind of weird. And it kind of reminded me of a combination of like World of Warcraft, like a very light version, I guess I would say, and Halo. And I played World of Warcraft and I really liked like the gear aspect of World of Warcraft. That really appealed to me, but I always went back to Halo because I loved the FPS aspect. And so Destiny looked like this perfect marriage between the two. And it turned out to be just that for me, and then kind of just fell in love from there.
Oh my god, you need to stop. Like, can you get off of my? Can you get off my book, bro?
Sorry. Let me close your bio. My bad.
Yeah, close my bio for a second, because you literally just explained exactly where I was at. I was an OG Halo player. I was saw Bungie made this. I competed in Halo 3.
Nice.
Like tournaments and stuff and LAN parties and all that fun jazz.
Do you mind if I ask what was your name in Halo 3?
Oh god, I don't even remember anymore. I think it was like Amorn or something like that. It was we're talking 10, 12 years ago.
The only reason I asked was because in Halo 3, I teamed with someone and we almost went to an MLG tournament whose name was Robbie B. I was about to be like, no way.
Interesting. That would have been wild. I mean, I could be Robbie B. No, yeah, it was a good time. It was back when I was in high school, and we actually had a tournament like matches in the high school where everybody would bring their Xboxes and set them up in the gym, like, and LAN it out.
Dude, that's legit. That's like same thing, but like at my house.
Oh, we did that too.
Yeah, all the above.
I always do a running joke. Like, have you ever seen the LAN party 90s picture where there's like TVs everywhere and then there's the guy taped to the ceiling?
Yeah. That's the best one.
That was literally me and my friend group.
Nice, dude. Good
we
time.
had TVs everywhere and everything. All right, Patty, what you got?
That's awesome. I have kind of a similar history to you guys. I actually was more focused on PC stuff back in the day. Like, I played a lot of Counter-Strike and played a bunch of like competitive leagues and stuff like that for that game back like forever ago. And then I also played Halo, but I didn't get as serious as it sounds like you guys did. I mostly just we did LAN parties with friends like every single weekend, which was, a lot of fun. But I didn't get quite as serious about it. And I also actually took a little bit of a break from gaming, probably, I don't even know how long ago, but like I would say like maybe 8 to 10 years ago. And then I kind of got back into it, just playing some like Battlefield on Xbox with some friends. And then I heard about Destiny. One of my friends who I played a lot of Halo with back in the day was getting me all excited about it, and so I started trying it out. And when it first came out that very first week, and I had so much fun with it, and I've been hopelessly addicted pretty much ever since then. Put a lot of time into both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, so it's been a lot of fun.
I feel that. I do. I absolutely feel that. So when did y'all start? Did you start? This is one of my favorites because I get to do a little flex. When did you pick up Destiny?
I started in the first week of D1. So I missed the beta, and then I missed the very first couple days of Destiny because I was on a business trip at the time. But then I came back, and I pretty much haven't stopped since. I've taken a few little breaks here and there, but pretty much the first week of D1. Okay.
Apple, what you got?
For me, it's kind of hard to say. I just remember seeing like some of the Titan gameplay, the Striker, and I think it was like first showing off like the exotics and stuff like that. And I saw that and I was like, dude, this is so awesome. And then I recently just got a new job, and for sometimes when you get a new job, like that first paycheck's like delayed, so it's like massive. Mm-hmm. And so I got a huge paycheck. I bought a new TV. I went out and bought an Xbox and Destiny and started playing. And I think it was pretty early in the game. I think like I hadn't been out too long. And then I actually ended up playing, but then I didn't have anyone to play with, so I took like a break for a while, and then I came back closer to like Taken King.
Okay, I dig that. So my little flex for this, I have the Destiny First Look Alpha on my PlayStation.
Dang.
Yeah.
OG.
I had a buddy, real OG. I'm pretty much D1 Alpha Vet on Twitter at this point, without as much meme posts.
Can't say it right now, but I'm bowing.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And I actually, I was working at a nightclub at the time, and I had one of my counterparts that was there goes, "Hey, dude, Bungie made a new game." We were talking about it on the drive up to the lake, which is like a 45-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "No shit, like what? Talk to me." And he's like, "Yeah, I got this alpha test for it." He's like, "But I can't do it because I'm going to a wedding. Do you want my key?" And I jumped all over it. And the minute I picked it up with the 8 levels and like the 1 super, I couldn't put it down. I really couldn't. It's I don't know what Bungie did back then to now, but it's grabs a hold of you for sure. Mm-hmm. Everyone that says they leave Destiny, I'm like, all right, cool. So when do I see you back?
Yeah. I think it's like the gunplay, honestly. The gunplay is just something Absolutely. From Halo to this is what they've mastered. And something I picked up on Twitter as well is a lot of people playing Cyberpunk is, yeah, it's like a lot of fun. Obviously it has its bugs and other issues, mm-hmm. but a lot of people were highlighting how the gunplay, it made them appreciate the gunplay in Destiny.
Absolutely.
100%. That's one of my favorite things is for all the space magic, all the cheese, all that, everything else, the gunplay itself is unmatched in my opinion. And really in this environment, in PC and console, I really haven't found anything that feels as smooth, as fun, as interactive almost.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so we'll keep rolling through. Next question that I've got for y'all is, what class do you main and why?
I guess I can jump in on that one if you want.
Go, Patty, I gotta think.
Yeah, so I know what class you main. I've played against it too many times. So I main Hunter. So in D1, when it first came out, the very first character I made was a Hunter. Remember you started with a gunslinger back then.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then I got to about level 10, and I was playing PvP, and some Titan came in and like Fist of Havoc my entire team. He got like a 6-man kill, and I was like, what the heck? And so I immediately went to the change character screen and made a Titan. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this. And then I got up to level 16, which was like, I think level 20 was the max at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was playing more PvP, and some Blade Dancer Hunter came through and was just annihilating us. If you remember early D1, like the blink shoddy was like insane on Arc Strider, or was Blade Dancer. And so I watched him do that, and I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, this is my class now. So I went back to my Hunter, and I have not looked back since.
Okay.
That's so.
Apple, what you got?
Oh man, I mean, so lately I've been jumping around a lot. So I would say pre-Beyond Light, I would probably mainly run Top Tree Stormcaller. I really like the arc grenades and the arc chaining. And I really feel like that makes for a really good play starter. So I would say I also feel like I personally play the best on that class usually. And also if I have a sniper on my team, they're usually taking Top Tree Dawnblade as well. So I usually don't run that as much. But I don't know. It's lately with Stasis on Warlock and Shadebinder and how powerful that is. I've been using that a lot. I still enjoy the other light subclasses, but Stasis is just so strong. But I think for now, I'll still stay true to Top Tree Stormcaller.
I love that, actually. That means I can actually play my Hunter tonight, which is my favorite. I have so I main Hunter just from the time I've spent. But in D1, I seconded as a Titan and did Raid Sherpas because nobody ever was the Weapons of Light Titan. Nice. So that's what I used to do back then, and that's the only reason I made a Titan. But in D2, I had one of my community donate a certain amount to change my class for the Guardian games. I made like a competition type thing, and they dropped the most for a Warlock. And as soon as I started playing it, I was like, okay, this is a ton of fun. So now I have a Warlock for nothing but scrims. I have my Hunter, I play normal, and then my Titan is pretty untouched.
Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call you a warlock main. What?
Oh, I mean, if you look in the webcam, although it's small, I do have this warlock painting. Now, what you can't see on screen that I need to flip these around is I have a hunter painting here, which was always the front of my stream before, and then I switched my office around, and now the only one that you see is warlock, which really confuses people when they watch. And I'm playing hunter.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah, I like to mix it up.
As it should be.
Exactly. Keep them on their toes, you know.
Yeah.
All right. So we know your classes. Here's always a fun one. What do you think is the strongest subclass on your main, and what do you think needs some love? And by strongest, I mean, what do you think needs to be nerfed?
Ooh. I mean,
Yikes.
that's a tough one. So for Hunter, I mean, I think the Stasis Hunter is pretty strong right now, mostly for the neutral game. It's just like really good. I hate to say it, but I think the Drewski dunk, which is my favorite move right now, I use it like literally every day. It's a little strong. I don't know. I don't even want to say it should be nerfed because I enjoy using it so much, but it's if you had to nerf something, I feel like that's on the strong side. But I actually think that like right now the overall balance is like I feel like Stasis almost helped that in a little way, because like I feel like all three of the Stasis classes can kind of challenge Top Dawn and Spectral, which I think were like pretty clearly like the two best beforehand, and I think that it's like a little bit blurrier now because I feel like, you know, the Stasis Titan's really strong and Stasis Hunter's strong, Stasis Warlock's strong, especially with that you're rebuffing that melee. And I still think like Top Tree Dawn is arguably the best. So it's I don't know. I feel like the meta's kind of interesting right now in that regard.
Absolutely, I agree. I 100%
Yeah,
agree.
I would tend to agree with Patty on like the balancing. For Warlock, I feel like you could really make an argument for like slight tweaks to either Shadebinder or Top Tree Dawn. Like Top Tree Dawn's movement with Icarus Dash is absurd, especially now where you have abilities from Stasis that are supposed to slow you or, you know, basically hinder you in some way. And with Top Tree Dawn, you can get out of a majority of them with the Icarus Dash. Like especially something like the Dustfield Grenade, like it doesn't really, it like slows you, but you can basically Icarus Dash out of it, which is kind of interesting. But I would still probably lean towards Shadebinder in terms of just how powerful it is. But the challenge when I think about, but the thing is when I think about nerfing Shadebinder, I think it's such a fine line to where if you nerf it, it instantly becomes like a Nova Warp situation, where it's just now went from being too good to now it's just like it almost angers you to run it. Right. And so I wouldn't be the person to provide the suggestions on how to nerf it, but I'd probably still lean towards Shadebinder.
Interesting. Okay. That's I mean, obviously the common one now in a new sandbox and a new run is attack the biggest one first, which is the one that everybody's running, which is the new. I honestly feel like Stasis is very balanced in certain aspects. So like in a scrim and a tournament type setting, which we will obviously get into because this is a scrim school, I think that having one Stasis player on each team is balanced. I do. It's definitely beatable. Worst case is you get frozen. If you have a good team, you make it out. If you don't have a good team, you lose one life and you move on. But overall, I think that I think that Gunslinger needs a buff. I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to answer that part of your question. I realized,
you said buff too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What would you like to see changed on it?
Either armor or length of super itself. Honestly.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I felt like it's that super is, I don't know. I feel like I was kind of salty when Bungie nerfed the 6-shooter tree, so it can't even one shot anymore. Like across Pantheon, for example, you can't even one shot like from sniper lane to sniper lane. So I didn't really understand that change, and I don't know. I personally would be fine with seeing that a little stronger. I actually think though, for me, the one that I would like to see buff more is something still to do with tether. I feel like both top and bottom tree tether have like such interesting neutral games, but it's like it feels like the super is such a waste most of the time, and I wish they could figure out some way to make it more useful. The thing I've always wished is that the trap, like, well, when you shoot the tether, that it would, instead of like having to hit a wall or whatever, they would almost be like a, I don't know, like a trap that would like latch onto whatever it shoots by with a certain radius or something, so you could like be more intentional with like what you're trying to actually suppress, instead of having to like wait for it to hit a floor and then activate and then like detect someone, and by then it's like the spectral blade or whatever you're trying to shut down's already meleeed you. So
you mean so like D1 tether?
yeah, like it's just crazy to me that like the tethers have felt so useless for so long. It's frustrating because I think like bottom tree and top tree are both like really interesting neutral games, but just it feels like a throwaway super you know, in comparison to a lot of the other strong supers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I definitely agree with that. I main tether in D1, and that used to have the biggest tracking. It used to be instant, you know, tethers or anchors or whatever. It felt so good on D1 that when I came to D2, I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to continue running tether. And I started doing it, and I was like, I don't feel this.
Yeah,
I really don't.
The two things I've always wanted them to change with it to make it a little bit more competitive, even if they can't fix like the detection issues, since it seems like that's not going so well since it's been a problem for a long time. I feel like the other things they could tweak that would make it more interesting would be to make that whole animation of the tether faster and remove that little silly hop where you get caught in the ceiling of every map when you shoot it, so that you could actually activate it faster, you know, so knowing that it's not going to be like perfectly reliable because of the nature of like how it seems to work, at least then you could still you know, use it more actively. And then also it'd be cool if you got like a little overshield or damage resistance right afterwards, so you can make a play off of it, because what seems to happen all the time is you trap people and then you just get team shot right away and die. It's like, you know, it's like once you've shot the thing, your damage resistance is gone, and it's not like that hard to shoot while you're tethered, you know. So I feel like that would kind of make it interesting if you got like, you know, not like a crazy damage resist, but just something you can make a play off of for like a few seconds right after you tether someone, so you can capitalize on the people you just tethered.
That would be absolutely awesome, actually. And it makes sense. It really does. I mean, most supers have some sort of damage resistance, right? Even Blade Barrage, when you jump in the air and you throw your blades, you have a damage resistance while you're in the air. Same thing with Warlock, same thing with, you know, Titan Shield, obviously, but I think they could work that in there. I really could see them doing it.
Yeah, it's just like the value of the tether is like mostly after you've shot it, versus like a lot of supers it's like while you're doing it. I mean, I guess if you're going for a direct shot with the tether, but that's not really the intended way to use the tether, it seems. Like they want you to shoot it on the floor to like turn it into a trap.
Yep, exactly. So. Apple, what you got? What would you like to see buffed from your class?
Dude.
What needs some love?
Dude. Bottom tree, Nova. 100%.
Okay.
Only because I just, going from, speaking of D1 super to D2, like D1 Nova Bomb was so much better. Like the radius and the damage resistance specifically, versus in D2, the Nova Bomb is, they've improved it. They've made the cast time better and those small little tweaks, but often it's super easy to get away from and dodge or whiff, either one. The damage resistance is not that great. So what that means is if someone's close to you, you're probably going to kill yourself, or they're just going to shoot you out of it before your Nova Bomb hits them. So it's like always, in my opinion, it's usually a best case like trade, especially if you're trying to shut down another super. And so that's where I think back to D1, and like in D1, mained Warlock with Nova Bomb. And I was like, man, I just loved that super because it was so great for just shutting down supers or getting the occasional like nice multi-kill. Versus now, I just, again, like most of the time it's just like a trade, or I end up like killing like it's basically like a suicide attempt when I use it. And so I would love to see that buffed a little bit.
Maybe you'll get lucky and maybe it'll take 1 or 2 to max.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think honestly, like the cast time and everything is probably fine. I think it's just the radius. Like the radius needs to be like I think of the like if you compare it to the radius of like the Hunter Stasis super, like obviously not that dramatic where it like freezes you like around a corner, like as long as they like aim it in your direction. But like I just think I find it funny that got that kind of radius, but the Nova Bomb has such a terrible radius.
Absolutely. I like to when I run Warlock, I like to run Nova, but I usually play really tight corners when I'm playing Nova Bomb, and if I have to throw my Nova, it's like in a corner and then hope that somebody runs through it. So I definitely agree. Most definitely agree. It needs some love.
Yeah. Someone mentioned Lance from D1. Good times.
Yep.
Good times.
Yeah. The Nova Lance. Chat, if you guys have any questions, you are welcome to ask as we go through the interview portion. Otherwise, I will keep just grinding on. So we talked classes, we talked subclasses. What are your favorite loadouts?
You gonna go first, Apple?
In a let's say in a scrim setting, in a comp setting type, you know.
Transversive steps all day, every day, forever. Never taking them off. Unless I'm running Hawkmoon. Sad face. With if I'm like playing like in a competitive mode, I would say with Ace of Spades for sure would be my go-to, like most consistent, even though I've been loving Sturm recently.
Okay.
And of course my trusty Fellwinter's Lie, I'm a shotgun main. I leave the sniping up to people like Patty or other people. Let them do all the sniping to complement their Kovacs. But hand cannon, or sorry, Ace of Spades and my Fellwinners all day.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Appa put out a pretty nasty Cloud Strike video. I think he's selling himself short.
Cloud Strike's fun for sure. Cloud Strike's fun. All right, Patty, what you got?
Okay, so for the longest time, I was a Stompy's main. I've kind of recently reformed a little bit, and I've been since like I guess more or less since Beyond Light came out, and like a little bit before then, I've been like playing a lot with Dragon Shadow, which I have a newfound love for. It was like my favorite exotic back in year one and most of year two, and then I kind of moved away from it for a while, and I'm really digging in. But I'm also kind of newly obsessed with Mask of Bakris, and I'm not sure which one I like better yet. I feel like they both are really good in different situations. So I think those are my top two right now in terms of exotic armor.
Okay.
And it's sort of like a situational thing on which one I pick. Part of that decision for me is coming down to which guns I use. So for example, I think Ace of Spades pairs so well with Dragon Shadow because one of the biggest downsides of Ace is that you don't want to lose those Mori bullets when you get them. And with Dragon Shadow, you can just dodge and it reloads your shotgun. So like you never have to worry about not having ammo in your shotgun. So it's like super helpful. I'm also really enjoying Hawkmoon though. I think it's super fun. I don't like I haven't used it really in a scrim yet, so I'm not really sure like how it feels in that regard, but it just seems really fun. I also think the 120s are like kind of insane right now, and just the range at which you can pop off 90 damage headshots is kind of insane. So those are very strong, and it's something I've been playing around with more and more as I kind of get further into Beyond Light. I split time between shotgunning and sniping, honestly. I was almost exclusively a sniper dude until like maybe 6 to 8 months ago, and I kind of started getting more into shotgunning again. And I don't know, I like both a lot. I haven't found a sniper I'm like totally in love with yet in this new expansion that's not Sunset, because I was like a beloved main beforehand. My favorite right now is probably Cloud Strike, and I'd like to pair that with Dragon Shadow because you get that handling buff, which makes it feel like it has snapshot. So that's pretty cool. I like Adored, but I'm so like sensitive when it comes to the different zoom changes, like going from like a 40 to 45 to 50. Like I'm a little baby about it. And so it's like I don't feel like I have that like same comfort level that I had with Beloved, where I like felt very confident I was going to hit my shots. And so I think because of that, I've been kind of shotgunning more, just because I don't have that same like confidence yet with all the different zoom levels of these newer snipers.
I definitely I love Adored. I run sniper a lot, I run shotgun a lot. I am definitely a 120 person. My last stream was me testing 120s in comp, and I tested the Duke, I tested the True Prophecy, I tested Criminals, Steady Hand.
What's your favorite so far? I'm curious.
So I am on the sticks. Let me preface that first. because it obviously is different between 6 and MK when it comes to recoil and stuff.
Yes, big time.
The steady hand that I have has Killing Wind and Snapshot, I think. But between that and the Crimmels, I think Crimmels took it.
Interesting. I've been liking Crimmels a lot too. Have you spent much time with Sturm with the Masterwork?
I have not, so I never got Sturm when it first came out, so I need to buy it from
crispy,
I need to buy it from the vendor. It's on my list for sure.
The thing is, Sturm, like I haven't used it without the catalyst because I've had the catalyst done for quite a long time, but with the catalyst, it is so good right now. The only thing is that it doesn't have that damage perk without pairing it with like some other, Drang or like the frozen Hedron's buff or whatever. So it kind of it's like kind of a bummer to use the 120 and not be able to 2-tap without just by the gun itself. But like, man, Sturm does feel really good.
I can confirm, since I just got the catalyst like 2 days ago, that it is much better with the catalyst. I never went near it before the sandbox, and the sandbox came out, and I was like, damn it. I was like, how do I get this catalyst done?
Right.
It makes a huge difference.
That's actually I gotta get it. I really do. There's a couple that I really want to get. I really want to get Sturm. I need to buy it, and I still haven't gotten Hawkman yet. I know.
Gotta get on that.
I'm
a big fan of both of them.
Way too much fun with. So my Criminals roll can 2-tap, mostly because
Kill Clip
Explosive is broken and bugged. So
is it really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So you can like 2-tap naturally. Wait a second. Are you saying you can 2-tap naturally with Explosive right now?
Randomly, yes.
Okay.
So it's not like every single time.
Like
but I have my Criminals roll is not moving target, but rangefinder kill clip. Or golly, rangefinder and explosive payload.
Okay.
Patty's next video, Colin.
Well, yeah, because my favorite Criminals actually, like I've tried all these different ones. I still by far prefer my Criminals, which is a rangefinder kill clip and like more or less max stability. It feels so good, and I'm usually like a range dude on hand cannons. Like even last season when like all these people were telling me like stability was the way with Dire Promise, I was still in like team range like for the whole time, and so it's weird now like recommending stability, but I feel like for 120s they have so much recoil that like if you actually have one with like a ton of stability, you're only giving up like maybe like 4 or 5 meters of range, but it's like the difference in stability is insane. It's like so easy to use. So I don't know, I've been kind of like playing around with high stability ones and kind of enjoying them lately.
Yeah, that's exactly what my my Criminals roll is. And Angle said it right. The explosive payload makes the damage glitch happen more often.
Oh, okay.
That's also
interesting.
why it's banned in a lot of scrims.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And in a lot of tourneys, because there is the explosive rounds. It's like I haven't counted it yet, but I want to say every 5th or 6th kill is a double damage, and you can 2-tap. And that's without any rifts. That's without any charge with light. That's base.
Yeah, I have a max range, like a literal max range True Prophecy with rangefinder explosive or something, and I'll have to try that out. I haven't actually used it yet.
I would recommend it. It was fun.
It's like a sniper rifle.
I have to go combing through my vault, double check.
Right, that's kind of what I did. Is I just looked at my vault. All right, so we got a question from Pathetic. He says, "Do you guys play Face It or Scrims at all, or do you just stick into mostly quick play and weapon reviews?"
Lately, since Beyond Light, I've been almost exclusively just like quick play, just because I'm mostly spending my time just trying to like understand the new guns and make YouTube videos and stuff. I don't really do Face It because I have a lot of friends that I scrim with whenever I do want to scrim, like the people in Encore, which is my in-game clan right now, and then like Appa, and we have like a pretty big friend group who likes to scrim, and so I feel like I get kind of the benefits of scrimming without like some of the occasional toxicity of those types of environments, so it's like I get all the benefits of like that, and I know like if I have an off game, like my friends aren't gonna like be real tough on me or whatever, because like we're all in it just to have fun and improve. So it's like it's like a nicer environment for that. But I always recommend that if you don't have a group like that, then something like Face It I think is super valuable.
Absolutely. If you get the right team for it, that'll teach, which I've seen a lot more of recently. It's gotten a lot better with, you know, Nerve and Boy and those and Comet
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
over. Because they don't take any nonsense with like the over toxicity.
I've
So-
heard that as well. I am excited to try it sometime because those guys are all like, I have a lot of respect for them, and I think that that's really good if they're cleaning that up. That was like one of the main reasons that I hadn't really gotten into Face It much. Is like normally if I wanted to scrim, I had people who are looking to scrim like 24 hours a
Right.
day. It feels like, so I just never was really hurting for like people to scrim with. But then also, you know, I had heard some not so great things about
Yes.
that community for a while. So I'm happy to hear that it seems like it's better.
It is. It's a lot better. There's still some toxicity in there for sure.
Mhm.
Just because, you know, something with paid elo and stuff like that, there's obviously some egos floating around. But overall, I have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll have to try it.
Yeah, most definitely. I recommend everybody trying it just at least a little bit.
Mhm.
Pathetic is a Face It warlord. He lives so
Nice.
he's talking about how Calico was on his team, and
Oh.
he was just moaning the whole time.
Sounds like a Calico thing to do.
Yeah. So we had Cal on the stream, and that was a fun one. We've had
Yeah.
Tommy, we've had Boy, we've had Nervous. It's really cool to pick their brain from a mod's perspective and like kind of what they're trying to direct it towards.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it
It's-
must be a lot to manage, I can imagine.
It's fun. It's a lot of knowledge. So I'm kind of excited to not have a Face It warlord, but more gun skill. I really enjoy it because I can dig in your guys' brains about like aiming, centering, things like that as well. But first, Appa, let's
Yes.
answer Pathetic's question. Do you face it mostly? It was his first question, but he wants to know if you do scrims as well.
So I've never personally done Face It. I've always, despite hearing, you know, you obviously hear good things, bad things. I've always thought about trying it and wanted to try it, just for the aspect of wanting to match like different players, better players, and experiencing different play styles. Because like Patty mentioned, we have kind of like our friend group who, when we want to scrim, we just kind of like round everybody up and it's kind of like LANing essentially, but online, obviously, like what you would do. And so over time, you kind of get used to certain people's play styles and you kind of know people's tendencies. So, which is still very enjoyable, but that's part of what has always attracted me to Face It, is getting to experience different play styles, not knowing people's tendencies and having to kind of figure things out and adjust and adapt, and also maybe expose some weaknesses in my own gameplay. So something I've definitely been wanting to try. It's just when I do have that time available, a lot of that time goes to capturing footage and preparing scripts and things for YouTube. So I would say, just like Patty mentioned, as of Beyond Light, I haven't really. I actually did a couple scrims earlier this week, just out of the blue, but typically it's not something I make a point to do week after week or anything like that. It's, if everything lines up and there's time, I'll do it for sure. I love doing it, but it's not something I would say I do super frequently.
Sweet. I dig it. That's actually a nice change of pace. So obviously I played a lot of Face It. I run scrims fairly often actually. But I enjoy the aspect of like limiting some of the stuff. So I think that's why I enjoy scrims so much. Is because, you know, you're not getting frozen every single turn you have, but I do it a little bit differently.
That's
You don't
nice
wait.
change.
You don't like that? You don't like that?
I mean, it's an experience.
Yeah.
I definitely run Stasis Hunter mostly for the memes. Shadow Dive is so much fun. I half the time I don't even use it with the glacial nade. I just Shadow Dive to get out of like sniper lanes and stuff.
Yeah.
What are the current? I haven't even looked at the current, like the newest Face It rules for in regards to stasis. What is allowed and not allowed right now? I have to do
So
my homework.
as far as Face It goes, and most scrims, stasis is banned across the board.
Okay, gotcha.
They had it as you could use stasis on Titan for a while with aspects, but Tommy was bullying people too much. Yeah, he was wiping teams on both sides of the map back to back in a single behemoth.
Right.
So
A super that super lasts a long time.
it's insane. I don't know
It
why.
does.
It also it's so crazy the damage resist that thing has.
Yep.
It's
So
like
they
it just breaks everything. It's
they
crazy.
banned it all. I run mine a little bit differently. I allow 1 stasis per team. If we want to take it a step further, I'd say 1 stasis, no aspects. Is the other half of the spectrum. But most of the time when I run my streams, I do 1 stasis per team, and aspects are fine, doesn't matter.
Nice.
And you can also run fragments, or
Yes.
those are banned. Okay.
So I do
So
it
you
with fragments.
basically you get full on stasis, but only one person can do it.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
that seems reasonable.
I enjoy it because it forces you to play, and I know this is why a lot of the Face It guys don't like it, like stasis as a whole, is it forces you to use something other than W.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is.
Can't be quite as aggressive, yeah.
Exactly. You can't straight line in and shotgun the team, because the opportunity for someone just to drop a nade on your head that stops you in your tracks, or throws a blade that slows you down and then you're dead in the water. That kind of thing kind of just halts them in their tracks, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll run ours with 1 per, and then the big one is 120 per team.
I was gonna ask about that. That seems like another thing, like multiple 120s.
Yes.
It's kind of crazy how effective they are right now.
We tested it, and it was, the TTK was like a 0.1. 0.12.
Jesus.
It was horrid. If your team is team shooting, it's definitely rough.
I feel like you're already seeing 120s rise in the Crucible right now. I ran some just control last night, post Iron Banner, and now Steady Hand is all out there, and it was a majority of 120s, I want to say, that I ran in all night. And even with this like uncoordinated teams, like getting just 2 people shooting at you, you're like dead, and you're just like, oh,
Yep,
oh
exactly.
okay.
Do you guys think that they overbuffed them, or do you think that like they were already stronger than people thought? And then, you know, like, what do you guys think about that?
I would say using Sturm last night, the fact that I was feeling comfortable peak shotting someone at scout and pulse rifle range and beating them was kind of weird to me. Like I literally peak shotted someone. I was like, how do you feel getting peak shotted from like this far away with a hand cannon?
So it's 50 meters without rangefinder, 60 with.
Yeah.
And we tested it. That's the range for something like a Steady Hand, and that's with normal range perks. That's other than.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I have like a really high range. I think actually it's a criminals with like rangefinder and opening shot, and like very close to max range. And I think it was like 52 meters or something before damage drop off when when you have opening shot and rangefinder both working at the same time.
Well,
It's
even
like
even with the
ridiculous.
damage drop off, it's very gradual. So
Yeah, totally.
at 60 meters, you're still doing 80 to the head, not 90.
Right.
Which 3 shots is can kill anything below 8 resilience. So
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember where I was at with Sturm when I was in that fight. I was just with the scout rifle. I was like pretty far, and I was still hitting like 72. And I was like, "What is this? This is pretty." That really made me realize, because even him, he had to like back off, come back out, and we did our thing for a minute. But it's pretty wild.
Right. It's an interesting one. It is. And I do stability masterworks on everything, or reload. That's the other one I go for. Because controller, and I really don't have to worry about range drop off as much as I hate to say it. Controller has a lot more forgiveness.
Right.
So I think that 120s were always this strong. To answer your question again, Patty, bring it back on tangent. I think 120s were always this strong, but they couldn't compete with their 150 counterparts because you were always outgunned. You could always 3-tap with a 110. You could almost 2-tap with a 110. But the rate of fire made you lose most gunfights because people could put 3 or 4 shots in you by the time you got your third off.
Yeah. I would say I could see them getting like a range nerf in the future.
I was gonna say, well, because like in a way they got sort of 2 like damage buffs, because like with 150s going away for the most part, other than Sunshot, like you're right there. Instead of dueling like a point, it was a 0.8 TTK before from a 150, and it was a 1.07. So like its TTK got better, while it's like the other hand cannons it was dueling got generally worse. But then also, I think the big thing is just the range that you can engage from is so crazy right now. Like it's like a different type of weapon almost right now. It feels like a mini sniper rifle.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Like,
I agree.
you just, I mean, like, especially coming from like the meta we were just in with like, you know, Dire Promise, like basically once you pass, you know, somewhere in the 30 range, you're just like, you know, basically gonna have to hit like 4 or 5 headshots for a kill. And these things are like downtown, like, you know, 3 tapping. It's like insane.
Yeah, it's very jarring, you know, I would say.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally hitting these shots from this crazy range, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, you're like, there's no way. How much
It's not
damage is
possible.
that?
It's not possible.
Oh, no. All right. So Lycan's got a question. He says, what do you think of removing quick draw from pellet-based shotguns to increase the punishment for out-of-position errors? It'd be replaced with something like snapshot and other perks where needed. Do you think that, to narrow it down, do you think pellet-based shotguns should not have quick draw?
So I think my friends Drewski and Glow were talking about that a while back when I was in Discord with them recently, and that was kind of what they were suggesting as well. I don't know. It would definitely like make them harder to use. I don't really personally feel like shotguns are like a huge problem right now. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're good players can still do like the quick draw glitch where you're still swapping quite fast, and there's still things like dexterity perks, and then it would make, you know, items like Dragon Shadow and Ophidians and stuff even stronger relative, you know, since basically you're still going to get that quick draw type of swap speed. So I don't know. I guess right now, especially with stasis, I feel like special weapons are not as oppressive for the most part as they were beforehand, just because there's more ways to like slow them down. And I've been pretty much just playing stasis since it came out. I haven't done many like light based classes.
Yep.
So I feel like I don't know, with like when I see someone like pushing with a shotgun, I literally just Drewski dunk them immediately, and I win automatically. Like it's such a easy shutdown against someone who's trying to push you. But
Absolutely.
I think there's also different when you're trying to balance it for like scrim type things when, you know, you don't have those same utilities necessarily available.
Well, I mean, Drewski Dunk can shut down a super, so
Yeah, and very often.
and I use it mostly for that reason, is to slam down and shut down the super right away. The fact that it does 60 damage even without the ice can actually clear a couple of guardians as we go too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Really fun to play against, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think,
that.
Appa? Would you want to see quick draw?
You know, I wouldn't mind it as long as it's replaced, like, because it kind of reminds, like, this takes me along the same kind of discussion of like, oh, should every weapon have kill clip, have rampage? And you've kind of noticed with like loophole, like those perks are kind of phasing out because Bungie doesn't want those to be the only desirable perks. And I think you're seeing something similar with shotguns with quick draw, right? Like that perk, even if you don't, like if you're going to PvP, you want a shotgun with quick draw. Like I remember when I had my mind benders with like slide shot rampage, and I used to know like someone with a quick draw shotgun, they would just like punish me so hard when I had them, and they would just like boop, switch, boom, I'm dead. And I was like I felt so like I felt like my gun was significantly worse. So I could see like how removing it could benefit, because then it doesn't become like the only perk you can get or the perk you must have, right? I think that can be a good thing, and I think you're seeing that now with the guns we have currently, right? You have new perks like Wellspring, you have Thresh, all these new perks that people are trying out and exploring because they don't have kill clip. It's not like if these guns had kill clip, you'd see Wellspring, Thresh, whatever, and unless you're a YouTuber, you're not trying these things out. You're like, just give me kill clip, move on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like with quick draw, it's the same thing. So I think from that perspective, I would be happy to see like a different perk. But to Patty's point, then you increase the usage of, or almost the requirement or benefit of exotics like Dragon Shadow, Ophidians, which could also be good because then you get less people using Transversive and other exotics as well.
Right.
So it could like shake up everything really. And I think from like more of a competitive perspective, it could be good, right? Because it does punish you for being out of position, right? So if someone pushes in on me and I played that wrong, I get punished for that.
Yep.
Now, but I think if on a scrim level, if they were really going for that, then maybe that's like a specific rule you could enforce, I guess. But yeah, I think more, I would prefer more just from like a diversity of like potential roles standpoint. I think it'd be really cool.
I like it, actually. I do. I mean, you don't need quick draw if you never put your shotgun away. Just saying.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we're gonna. I absolutely agree. I mean, obviously I have my quick draw rolls. I have my non-quick draws. I ran the Mindbender Strike. Had to have been 200 plus.
Gosh.
And the best roll I ever got was slide shot moving target.
Damn.
Yeah, that was the
right,
best.
and because you didn't get quick draw, you felt like, I'm sure, like very dejected.
I did, but I also learned like how far away I needed to draw my shotgun when someone was running at me. But that was kind of an adaptation to figure out like the difference. If anyone was in my face around a corner, I was done. There was nothing I could do. I stared at them.
Right.
So I think it definitely would mix up the meta a lot. It would force people to play and learn new stuff. Like I've got, God, what do I have? I have something with Thresh, and it's super fun.
Yeah, I got a steady hand with Wellspring, and I've been just really enjoying having that perk. Versus, I know initially it's so funny, like thinking about this, reflecting. When I first saw the steady hand rolls, I was like, no, Rampage, garbage, like, right? And so, but now, getting it anyway, it encouraged me to try those new perks. So, you know, it's kind of a force your hand type of deal, but it's like, you know, some of these damage perks, you know, I prefer that Bungie don't nerf them and instead like phase them out and then maybe bring them back in later, versus just like keep nerfing Kill Clip or keep nerfing Rampage or other things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna roll into the next question. I love talking to you guys. This is kind of fun. I haven't actually even been able to ask very many questions at all. Y'all are just so knowledgeable. This is amazing, by the way. All right, so Shadow says, what is the best thing to happen to you in 2020? Destiny-wise or IRL? I need some positivity around this shitstorm.
Cool. Meeting Apathettic?
Oh my god. No. Oh Jesus.
No, for real though, I've actually.
Wow.
Oh man. No, I've met so many cool friends this year, and I think, you know, obviously a lot of it is with all the COVID stuff, like, you know, basically staying inside playing games all day every day, because like what else are you gonna do? And you know, it's for me, it's like I've seen a lot of growth in my channels and just made so many new friends who have been really fun to play with, and you know, both in like other content creators and also just other people who are fun to play with. So that's definitely for me, I think, the most fun part.
That's awesome, actually. Wholesome. Very wholesome.
Damn you, Patty. So wholesome.
So wholesome.
Wholesome bastard.
It's confusing.
Yeah, I know.
Egos.
Yeah, honestly, and you know, not to be too cheesy, but just thinking about it and reflecting, I would think, you know, looking at the positive, you know, there was a point where I couldn't go to work because our work had closed temporarily until I was at home, and that gave me the opportunity to focus a lot more on my channel, which also translated into meeting people like Patty and getting to spend a lot more time with people like him, like another good friend of mine, Brave X Hero, another good friend of mine, Castle is Live, all amazing YouTubers you guys should check out. And I feel like, you know, I wouldn't have had maybe as much time to have those connections and, you know, worked with them on, you know, different projects and do those different kinds of, and learn so much from all of them if I didn't have that time at home and just spend, you know, kind of collaborating with them and building those relationships. And I'm super, super grateful for it, because, you know, now it's just kind of continued, and, you know, they feel like some of my, you know, best friends that I've met on this YouTube and Destiny journey in the Destiny community. So it's been, I feel just really humbled and privileged to get to know them, and honored that they keep me around. Because, you know, when I'm working, I'm not always the most responsive person in our chat, but I jump in as soon as I get the chance to. But yeah, I'd say that's probably the number one thing.
Y'all are so wholesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. I like to hear some wholesome positivity around building friendships and stuff. And that's what a lot of people have said about this whole pandemic and everything else is their community growth. And obviously, you know, game time and stuff like that, they've met so many new people, they've learned so much new stuff. It's really cool to hear. It really is. All right, we're gonna move on. Shadow had another one right afterwards that says, "What archetypes are overdue for a time in the meta?" What do you think? What would you like to see next season?
I have a request for Bungie to give us more of the 540 pulse rifles. I think those are like super fun to use, like Claws of the Wolf. And it seems like they don't want to give us any that are, especially in the kinetic slot. So I think they're so fun to use. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's like an auto rifle, but it's, it's a pulse rifle still, but they're fun. I miss, what was the Trials one? I'm like blanking on the name of it right now, but Darkest Before, right? I really enjoyed that gun before. And man, I feel like it'd be cool if we got some more of those to play with. I think those would be really fun, and I think those would be so fun in this meta right now. I actually am enjoying the primary weapon balance right now more than any time in the history of Destiny. Like, I think it's so good, and there's so much that's viable and fun to use, but it'd be cool if they would just bring up a couple of the things that are still struggling a little bit, and or just underrepresented in the loot pool is really the bigger thing. Like, there's just, I think 540s would be great right now, but there's just not many of them to even use.
Bring back Grasp of Malek.
Right.
Yeah.
Grasp of Malek was
Clever Dragon time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Appa, what you got?
Ooh, it's really hard right now. I feel like, to Patty's point, the meta is so balanced. I'm enjoying so many different weapons, and I feel like a lot of things are really, really good. But maybe certain archetypes of SMGs. Like, I really like the idea of like kind of pushing in with SMG and like going airborne and flying in and kind of having like more of a running gun playstyle. And I know there are some SMGs that are relatively viable, and people like Calico make them look incredible. But I would like them to be maybe just touched up a tiny bit, maybe to make them a little bit more easy to use, and maybe not just only certain archetypes, but make more of the SMG archetypes a little bit more viable. It can make for some fun gameplay, especially if you have like your 120s and crazy range versus if you had a stronger SMG get up and close and be able to, kind of counter that would be cool.
Absolutely. Both of those are awesome answers. I think for me, definitely, I loved my Claws of the Wolf back when I had it, but I'd like to see 360 auto rifles get some love.
Ooh, that's a good one too. I'm actually sitting on so many of those just for like the eventual day when they get buffed.
Yep. Some Galran's right hands and stuff.
They're so fun. It's just, man, I've been playing around with them every once in a while just for fun, and it's like, it feels like it's so much work to get a kill with them versus like some of the, it's like it's like really, I don't know, you have to work really hard to get a kill, but like they're so fun, and like the range that they have is crazy. It feels like they just need, like, I don't know, a little something, maybe faster time to kill. I'm not really sure exactly what, but it just
hit a little harder, flinch a little higher, stuff like that.
Yeah, something about it. Or even maybe it's like a stability buff or something where they're like, a little bit less unruly. But because I think they're really fun, but they're just, I don't know. When I use those and then I go back to like a 120 hand cannon, it's like, man, this is so much easier.
Yeah, it's so much more free. It really is. Excuse me. Cry. I am drinking Larceny bourbon. My go-to. Ooh. Love it. That is one of my favorites. It is a small batch, and it is way too expensive for a bottle. All right, let's keep rolling through. So, my next question for y'all. You both are M&K players, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you feel about aim trainers? Do you think that it helps you? Honestly.
Oh my God. I'm a step away. I'll be back.
I am aim trainer obsessed. I love them so much. I'm a huge Kovacs fanboy. I enjoy doing Kovacs more than I like playing Destiny, to be completely honest. I would do it all day, except that my like old boomer hands will fall off because it's like so engaging versus like Destiny PvP. You're only really like actively like engaging those little muscles every so often in like a little fight, whereas in aim trainer you're doing it constantly, so it's really easy to like cause like RSI type issues if you do it like too much. But I have like been very seriously aim training for a solid year plus now, and I feel like it's helped me in so many different situations, especially because like I grew up playing Counter-Strike where I was pretty good at my aim when someone was like right in front of me, but like if I had to make some like wild adjustment, it was pretty tough to swing really fast to make like a crazy flick to someone behind me or something like that. And my overhead tracking was like really poor because I just never developed that in the types of games I played. And so doing that specific aim training has like helped so much, and I feel it in game all the time in these different scenarios. I'm a huge fan of it.
Interesting. Okay. That's a different answer than I'm used to. So I know Appa stepped away, but let's ask him again.
Back, caught the end of that. No, I was kidding. Yeah, I mean, so in all honesty, I reached out to Patty. I was like, Patty, download Kovacs, dude. Give me the good stuff. What do I need to do? What do I need to try? What are the recommendations? So I went through and I actually really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. But also made me feel anxious because it was just like so much, like it felt like just really intense focus for like 30 seconds. And I would just like start stressing if I was missing shots and stuff. But I could definitely see the value. I think for me, it's again, it goes back to like that time that is available. So when I have that time available, it's
Yeah,
it's either Kovacs or play, not both. So
that's definitely something that I think is a very valid point. It's like it does take a time investment, and I also think that many people try it and they expect it to be like magical after like a day, and the reality is the benefits come after months of practicing it. It's not like an overnight thing. I equate it very similarly to anyone who's like, you know, worked out very consistently in like the gym. Like sure, like after the first day or two you might like feel stronger or whatever, but like really like your actual like hardcore gains come from like months and months of like practicing over time and, you know, being consistent with it. And I think aim training is exactly the same as that. It's working on it like, you know, consistently over a long period of time, and that really starts to help you.
Interesting. Okay, that's actually so that's the first time that I've heard that answer. Obviously, I don't touch Kovacs because sticks, you know. But most of the time, the answer that I get is Kovacs is good to keep you from tunnel vision, but beyond that, just playing the game is more beneficial. So again, y'all are blowing me away with the in-depth answers that are completely opposite than what we're used to here.
Well, I think also there's something to be said about like Appa said, the time investment. Like if I was to actually like if my goal was to only become the best Destiny player I could possibly become, I would spend 24 hours a day scrimming and do nothing else. I think that's the most, and the reason is that your aim is very important in Destiny, but like what's more important is like your understanding of like, you know, situational awareness, map flow, like where all the different lanes happen, and like, you know, how to like expect different ability usage and stuff like that.
Reading a radar.
I think, yeah, that stuff's like equally, if not more important than being good at aiming, especially in Destiny, where like the aiming skill gap is not as intense as like other games that require more precision. And so like, I think it depends on what you're going for. I personally like just want to become good at FPS games in general, because like I don't, you know, I love Destiny right now, but I plan to continue playing FPS games after Destiny is no longer like the popular thing. And I really like just becoming better at aiming because I find a lot of joy in just like mechanically becoming better at it. But like, you know, if my goal was only to become like the best Destiny player ever, I would probably just do scrims all the time.
Gotcha. I dig it. I really do. It's kind of how I'm learning too. So shout out another question. He says, Crucible map voting, yes or no? If so, vote on 3 maps, show the map in veto, a lot like Call of Duty type. Do you think that would work in something like Destiny?
I mean, I would love map voting. I've been wanting some for a long time. I think the problem though is like the lobbies in Destiny like seem like they don't kind of, I don't know. The way that the matchmaking works, it like throws you in and out of different lobbies and stuff really quickly, and I don't know how that would work necessarily, but I would like it. I mean, I've been wanting something like that for a long time.
I think it'd be awesome. I do as well.
Yeah, I would say it would be great. I always think of like, I can't remember which, I think like one of the Halos had it where you had the one map and then you had one other choice to kind of keep it simple. I think even just having that, just having a choice at all would be awesome.
I dig it. I do. And we can actually roll into that question. And do you think that that would be something viable for something like Trials? Picking maps, things like that.
Like a map voting system or something when you went into a round?
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of like that Trials is like one map for the weekend. Because even it's like a map, like for example, like I remember when a while ago it was Widow's Court, and in the beginning I was really struggling on that map because I was a shotgunner going up against a bunch of snipers.
Right.
And it forced me to snipe a lot that weekend and learn a lot more about sniping and practice that weekend. Versus if I had the chance to map boat, I would just try to choose a map that catered more to me and my benefits, my playstyle. And so I kind of like that Trials, whether it's a map you like or don't like, it forces you kind of try to learn and master that map and focus on the mastery aspect and adapt to playstyles on that map. So I kind of like that aspect of Trials.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you too. I also, though, I realize I don't really play that much Trials. Like I play, usually I'll stream it on like Friday nights when it's around, and then I'll maybe play like a couple cards throughout the weekend. But like I have a different feel of it than people who like I have friends, for example, who do Trials carries like literally from Friday when it opens until like Monday. I don't even know if they sleep. Like they're always doing Trials carries, and I think like for that I would probably prefer if it was not always the same map, because you kind of would lose your mind just playing the same map, especially if it's one that you don't really like that much. But like for the way I play it, I don't mind that it's static mech, just because like I agree with Appa. I like to kind of figure out a map and like learn how I can play it better. And then if it's like a map I'm not that into, I'll just probably won't play it as much. I'll play like my first few cards or whatever, and then probably be done with it for the weekend.
I do that actually. That's actually a really good point. So, flip side of that is, what if we went back to the D1 style and you had rotating maps? Do you think that would make it better in D2? Do you think that would make it worse?
What do you mean by rotating maps?
So back in D1 on Trials, you had a certain set of like 3 to 5 maps that you could potentially get throughout your card.
Oh, okay. They did that for like just a few times in D1 though, right? And that was most of the time I think it was static for the weekend, right?
Yeah, they did it for a while. It's an interesting one. So would you feel that rotating maps might make Trials a little bit more playable for everyone, or do you think
mind it? I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to try it in D2. I guess it would depend on which maps.
Right.
It'd be kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to say, because like on one hand I would like that, but then what if it's like a map that you've been like really looking forward to playing, and then you keep getting unlucky and getting like the map that you don't want over it? I don't know. That would kind of annoy me too. So
well, it'd have to force you to I mean, it could. Go ahead, Appa, first. Let me get your opinion.
I would say I wouldn't mind it, because I think Pathetic in chat said it was like the last week of Trials, and it was like the Earth maps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I think doing that, I wouldn't mind, like the change up for like this kind of spice up the last week of Trials, to like wrap it up for the season would be kind of like a nice cool send off. Like it's something different, versus I think if it's something you did all the time, it kind of loses its appeal. I would be like, oh god, I hope, just please don't give me this map. And like Patty said, oh my god, I keep getting this crappy map, right? So you have like one terrible map on the rotation. So I think it would be better to have it as the last one for the week, and then like again to spice up like the season.
I could get beyond that too. If it was like an occasional thing, I'd be totally down for that. If I wouldn't probably want that to be like always the case, but
okay,
yeah, like a couple times a season or whatever would be fine with me.
Huh. Okay. Again, another.
This way, I just want to play Trials.
This is kind of fun.
I'll play any map.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm hoping that you're right. It's Friday.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times, a lot of the guys that do like the Trials carries and stuff, they almost say that it would bring more players in, because players look at the map of the week and they go, it's Widows, I don't want to play it. And they don't touch it.
So, okay, this is actually an interesting question that you just brought to my mind. What do you think influences players' participation more, map or loot pool?
I like that one. So I think it's a mixture of both. I do. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said I play it once or twice and then I don't touch it again.
Mm-hmm.
But loot pool is definitely very important. I miss the D1 loot pool for sure.
Well, because I was just thinking, even like, okay, for example, let's say shotgun's on win 3. I'm gonna be more incentivized, I think, to like grind that out that weekend, just because like I want maximum possible chances, since I think the shotgun is pretty clearly the best weapon available.
Mm-hmm.
So like that to me would incentivize me more. And there's other weeks where like, you know, if it was like, I don't know, the scout rifle, a fusion rifle, and armor or something that I didn't care about. Like I'm just my incentive to play is just dead. Other than streaming it and you know having fun with friends. Like I don't want anything from it at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I would tend to agree. I think loot is probably the biggest driver. For just like so many things in Destiny, honestly. Like look how much people run lost sectors now just because you can grind exotics.
Yeah,
I think it's a good example. And I think trials the same thing. I think if you made the loot pool really appealing, I can guarantee you once it has new fresh armor in there, people are gonna be like, you're gonna see the population in trials skyrocket. Cheaters and no cheaters, they're not gonna care. Like they'll whatever, as long as it's you put enticing loot at the beginning. And I think that's why initially and probably still trials still gets a lot of feedback around like loot and access to loot and how, you know, having more bounties and more different ways you can get loot without needing as many wins. And I think because again, that's tied directly to people will play as long as they can get the loot, right? And then but versus if you make it very inaccessible, like at 7, if the shotguns win 7, a lot of people probably aren't going to bother. Like you're gonna have a couple people that try, maybe get a little discouraged, and then they're done.
Absolutely. I know last season at least, I definitely posted in my Discord, this is the loot for the week, I'm probably dodging.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really
straight
how
up.
it went down. It was like, oh, the auto is 3? I got you guys, I'll help out. Oh, the scout's at 3, the rocket's at 5, and the armor is, you know, flawless?
Yeah.
I'm not touching it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think loot is definitely solid. I do also think that playability comes into factor as well. I mean, especially for guys like Glow, right? Who does trials from Friday to Tuesday, just 10 to 14 hours. Being on the same map, you can tell by the end of it, they're just burned.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Cry asked a really good question. I like this one a lot. He says he'd love to hear about your opinions on other creators or streamers getting burnt out by stasis and the state of the Crucible. Do you think that the Crucible is in trouble if Bungie doesn't give a significant focus on Crucible endgame and overall content? I think he's talking specifically about, you know, Astacross and TV and all those guys that have been posting on Twitter today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I think yet because I had more fun freelance Iron Banner this past weekend than like I've had in a long time playing PvP. Like I really had a good time with it, and regardless of stasis being a thing or not. I think the primary balance is so good right now and really fun. So I don't know. Maybe I just haven't played enough to be angry about it, but like when I have played it, I've had a good time with it so far, and I feel like I guess I'm just kind of adaptable to it, like because I kind of view Destiny as becoming more of an MMO game now as opposed to just a pure shooter, and so I kind of think about it differently. I guess I'm like really into like, you know, building my character in particular ways to take advantage of that. And so that's, I don't know, that's just how I've been approaching it. I feel like I can kind of choose to be annoyed by it or not, and I just like, you know, trying my best to just kind of like look at it as a new challenge instead of something to be angry about personally.
Okay. Apple, what you got?
I think the Crucible is in trouble if Bungie doesn't get it. So as far as like starting with like the creators being burnt out by stasis, from just kind of seeing that thread and kind of going through it, it seems a lot of the players that were, or even creators or streamers, whatever you want to call them, that were burnt out. It was a lot of the creators that have been in Destiny since like the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like they were already trending towards being burned out anyway, right? And so I think when you add in something as game changing as stasis and it's such a different feel and it really shakes up the meta in a very significant way, you're either going to fall on one side of that coin or the other. You're going to really like it or you're not for you, and it's not something you can tolerate. For me, I've always been the type of person that I like to, when something new comes in the meta, I try to adapt and kind of not have a knee-jerk reaction to like, like this is so annoying, and like it was at first, but like cool, like, but like really looking back on like that death, cool, I got frozen. Was there anything I could have done differently? Oh yeah, I was totally out of position. I was aping with my shotgun, like stupid. So that for me keeps me from getting burnt out about the stasis aspect, but I do think there's something to the lack of focus on the Crucible and content in the Crucible. And Ascendant Nomad did a really good video on this very recently about, you know, how to better incentivize the Crucible, and I think it's pretty good. I would love to see that kind of loot. And I think, again, going kind of like tying to the talking about trials and the loot, I think people would be more apt to put up with stasis in just the general Crucible if I got more for playing the Crucible. But it's like, cool, stasis is pissing me off. I'm not getting anything for playing the Crucible, so why am I gonna keep playing?
Yeah, I actually totally agree with that. I think the bigger problem is just that more casual players have very little incentive after like the initial grind of doing your pinnacles to get light level and stuff. Like, okay, remember D1, like there's Ias Luna was in the, you know, Crucible loot pool. Like, even if you did like, you know, weren't that big of a PvP player, like just the fact that like such an awesome gun was potential reward, had you like logging in playing all the time. That we need stuff like that again. That like, when is the last time you've been like super excited about a reward from playing a PvP game? Like, I only play PvP because it's fun, but like, other than like the initial leveling to get pinnacles and powerfuls and whatnot, like there's very little. I mean, I guess what, like Stars in Shadow right now is probably the closest thing that you get frequently that's exciting. There's just not that much, you know, to it that's like cool. And also going back to like the Nomad's video about it, like Crucible right now is such a, like, it's supposed to be like an end game type activity, I guess, or like a core playlist activity, but there's no way to progress your character by like masterworking things, you know, and getting you know, more loot that's like meaningful to you. I guess I shouldn't say no, there are ways, but it should be more rewarding, I think, to just play Crucible as like a core playlist thing to do.
Yeah, and I always think back to like Forsaken, when Forsaken came out and you were just grinding and just slugging through comp trying to get Not Forgotten. That was like some of my most frustrating but most rewarding, and like I hadn't had that feeling of like getting off work and being like, okay guys, like, okay, like Brave, whoever, you guys gonna be on? Like, we gotta run comp tonight, like we gotta get the X comp score, get closer to Not Forgotten. And then like staying up till 5 in the morning for the first time since Halo, like again back when I was in like high school, trying to get this weapon, because then all, you know, people like Boy weren't running us every single match, and you know, finally getting our Not Forgotten, and that was like the most rewarding thing. And it was cool because it was also like exclusive, and it's kind of hard because on the flip side, again, you have, you know, your players who are more casual, who are like, oh, but this is not fair, like this super powerful weapon totally destroying everybody, I can't get it, like I feel helpless. But at the same time, I feel like those same players kept coming back because there was always that allure of like, oh man, maybe this is the night we like progress, right? Take a few steps forward. So, you know, I think like Nomad said, maybe cosmetics is a better option in that department. But I think also like revisiting the loot and like something to chase within the Crucible is huge. And having weapons like, I think back in D1, like praying for a god roll Ias Luna to drop after, right? And you see that drop and everybody's like inspecting it, and like you see the base rolls and wait, what's the barrel? What's the barrel? What is the fucking barrel?
Oh man, those are the days for sure.
Yeah, like, and we're missing that, right? Like the game ends and you're like, fuck, that's a shit ton of blues.
Yeah.
So
I was just gonna
go ahead.
say that the Not Forgotten thing is such a good point to bring up too, because like there's been very few pinnacle weapons since then that I was like super jazzed for. I mean, basically like getting the Claymore in season 3 and then the Not Forgotten in season 4. It's like since then, like, I mean, now they don't even really do them anymore, but like even like the other stuff like the mountaintop and all that was, but those grinds were so much faster. Like it was like a 1-day thing instead of like a, you know, a full focus of like the season, or at least the initial part of a season. So I would like to see more like grindy things to go for. But it's tough because it does segment the player base, and you know, feels unfair to certain people when it's not obtainable to them. But man, it's like, I feel like in any MMO style game you have exclusive things like that like keep like the most hardcore players invested to try to get. So I don't know like what the answer to that is, but
that feels unfair is I mean, obviously as a PvP player and PvP main, I'm not a big fan of that statement. I mean, there's PvP mains that can't get help in a raid. They can't find a team for a raid. They have to go to LFG, things like that. That's what the point of LFG is they can't find people to run raids with them. Same thing with like, say, the Grandmasters, right? I can honestly say that if I wasn't a streamer, I probably wouldn't have the groups that I have to be able to have them carry me through something like a Grandmaster, where you have to use technicals and you have to use barriers and you have to use unstoppables, and I probably would not be able to get that. So I get that as something that I should work on. So those people that are like, well, it's not really fair that I can't get it, why not work on it to get better to get it? That makes sense?
Yeah. Well, and I'm also like, I've never been one that's like, everybody should be able to get everything, you know, like, because when I came into Destiny, that's what lured me in. Part is what lured me in as well. I saw these people with exotics. I'm like, what is that? How do I get that? And that takes you on this journey of like, you're on YouTube, you're on Reddit, you're searching, you know, you're inspecting this guy's armor, and now you're investing all this time towards this like singular goal because you want this item. And then when you get it, it means so much more than if it's just like, oh, here you go, everybody has it, congratulations. And it's like, cool thing, like, great, I finally have this really good thing, but there's nothing special about it because everybody has one.
You mean like being able to buy Not Forgotten and Recluse from the...
I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Next question.
All right, so I got a couple more. We can... we're going to continue on that tangent right there with Crucible and more of a PvP focused type loot pool and incentives and stuff. I was going to put this up on Twitter tomorrow as a poll, but what if we reached out to Bungie and said something along the lines of, we will raise a certain amount of money so that you can hire a dev team for that specific purpose. Whether it's a $5 a season to invest directly into a PvP type team that can work on the PvP aspect separately. Do you think that would be something you guys would be willing to jump into? Would you be willing to drop $5 for something like loot incentives in PvP or trials reworks or that kind of field?
I don't have a problem personally contributing more for stuff like that, but I don't know, like, I guess I've never been one to like nickel and dime like certain expansions and stuff, because like, I know there's like a lot of, you know, people who are upset, for example, that Beyond Light was like, I don't know, I forget, it was like $40 or whatever, it was like 10 more than whatever, and people thought that was too much. And I guess for me, like, I played so much Destiny, like the amount of hours of enjoyment I get out of each expansion is like so vast that like to me it's like not that big of a deal. But you know, I also, that's coming from someone who this is their main game. I make content out of this game. It's like, you know, my main job right now. So like, I feel like I have a different like personal relationship with it, and I understand people who play it at a much more casual level. And you know, it's like they're choosing: do I get Destiny? Do I get the new Call of Duty? Do I get Battlefield? Or you know, buy some Fortnite skins or whatever their choice happens to be. So it's like harder to make that decision. But I don't know. Like I would personally be fine with, you know, contributing more for a team like that. But I'm not sure like how that would go down for the whole community. Like I have a feeling that people in general would not be down for that. But I don't know. I'm curious
do you think
to
that it would
see what
actually
would
bring
happen.
people back to Destiny that have left for FPS shooters, obviously like Rainbow Six and Warzone and things like that? Do you think it would bring those guys back to actually have something to hunt for, and as well as expand the ecosystem for new things to grind from the OGs that haven't touched it in seasons, years?
I think it depends on why those people left, because I feel like there's like a lot of people. Okay, so like I love Destiny. I've played so many thousands of hours of it, but like as someone who's also spent a lot of time in other competitive FPS games, like there's a lot of like fundamental problems with it. Like for example, lack of like, you know, dedicated reliable servers and like, you know, good netcode sometimes, and like you know, like weird hitbox issues, double damage glitches. Like there's so many things that are like wrong with the game to take it seriously for PvP. And that's why I approach my content just trying to like teach people and have a good time with the game and try to improve. But like I'm not trying to like, you know, necessarily become like the best tournament player in the world or whatever, just because like I feel like I would get frustrated if that was my focus, because there's so many little things about the game that need to be improved from that aspect. So I guess to answer your question, it would be, I'm not sure like why those people left, because if they're leaving for like a more like competitive environment, I don't know that Destiny will ever offer that. But if they are leaving because they didn't feel like PvP was rewarding from a loot perspective, then sure, that would be great. So
Okay.
kind of is like a case by case basis, probably.
And that applies obviously with trials as well. Having something to hunt and things like that. More of a redesign of the PvP maps, redesigns of loot pools, incentives, things like that as well. Apple, what you got?
So here's where I land. I wouldn't mind giving $5 or basically anything. $5 is like, for me, and I can't speak for everyone, is like not a large sum of money. I think for me, it's more like the principle of like, why would the community need to donate money in order for Bungie to focus resources towards this? Because that to me tells me that for Bungie as a whole, it's not a priority. Meaning that if that $5 ever stops, then that focus stops, because the focus is being funded by the community. Bungie doesn't really see it as a focus.
Okay.
And so for me, I think that's why, like, I wouldn't mind it, but part of me, the other side of me is like, well, why do I have to pay for Bungie to focus on this aspect of the game when this is half of the game? And also, like, it would depend also, like, what's my expectation of that PvP team? Like, am I expecting like them to make Destiny like a face it type thing? Like it's a whole, like like a very competitive focus? Is it I'd rather that $5 go toward like help them get dedicated servers or something like that.
Yep.
Like a more large scale change that benefits everyone, including, and I can almost say especially PvP, versus, again, it's kind of like what Patty said, like how would you work out like what specifically, like saying a PvP team, cool, but like what are they going to focus on? Like, are they doing balancing? How do you separate that from PvE? Is it competitive balancing? Like, what type of balancing are we talking here?
Right.
And I think what you're seeing, and then I think you'll vibe with this, is like as a former Halo player, I think a lot of us came to Destiny wanting like that Halo type PvP feel, and we get like tastes of it a lot, but it's still not quite the same. And I think that's where like all this balancing and like, like removing of things comes from, which is all cool. Like, as a community, it's like that's part of having communities within these games, is like you can take the game and kind of make it what you want in your own way. And that's what you're seeing with like the competitive community, which is super fun. I enjoy it a lot because, again, it reminds me of Halo in a lot of ways. But I think if I were to spend that money, I would say, okay, why do I have to have Bungie try to make it when they clearly aren't? This is not what they're going for.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So from what I've noticed in a lot of studies that I've done, if you look at like the raid races, that is one of the biggest moneymakers for Bungie. It's the biggest moneymaker for a lot of streamers. I mean, guys like Glad average, 90,000 people in their streams during a raid race.
Right.
So Bungie has, just from my opinions of what I've seen, Bungie has kind of focused towards that raid aspect because that brings the most viewership. It pushes it to the top of the directories, gives the most light to it. But I think that that's also why the PvP focus has kind of waned, because, day one trials still didn't break more than 25% of a day one raid race on viewership. And that's trials. I think that if they had a completely separate team that focused not as one aspect of PvP, but as PvP of a whole, so that we could get split sandboxes, we could get playtesting specifically in PvP so that we don't run into a lot of the issues that we had, and more of a loot incentive of map changes, spawn changes, maybe a new map design. I think that would bring a lot of the older players back in. But Pathetic just made a really good point. We are at an hour and a half. You guys are insane with your discussions. I love it. It's so nice to be able to just sit here and chat about it. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around for the interview portion.
Didn't talk about deleting supers.
Oh man.
I love supers. I think it's a fun little space magic aspect that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing that I got to ask for you guys during the interview portion is post all of your socials in chat. And chat, it is your responsibility to go follow, sub, whatever, to these two gentlemen. I want, your Twitch, your Twitter, your Insta, your Facebook, your OnlyFans, like whatever. And I say OnlyFans because Nighthawk Dearest Nighthawk actually has one.
Wow. Nice.
It is, and we opened it on stream.
Respect.
He has one picture on it. It's a naked mole rat.
Wow.
It was the best thing that I ever opened up on stream. I gotta say, during a scrim school, we opened it up with everybody in here, and naked mole rat right on the screen.
That's funny.
So, chat, it is your responsibility to go sub, follow, all of those. Show some love to these two for giving their time up to come in here, hang out, play, talk, answer your questions. It is the least you can do. And we're going to go on to a be right back. If you guys want to grab some water, go use the restroom.
Yeah,
sounds
sounds
all
good.
you, and then we'll jump into gameplay. Also, chat, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. They can answer while we're on the be right back screen. Cool.
Ooh.